Good morning. Welcome to Joy News Desk. We're coming to you live from our studios in Kokomlemle. Coming up this morning, Presidency rejects Media Foundation for West Africa's request for full KPMG report on the SML deal. We have reactions coming from the anti-corruption campaigners on this response from the president. Also, former Auditor General Daniel Domelevo describes as unfortunate the clash between the OSP, IOCO and the AG, adding it's doing the public more harm than good.
So we have so many institutions at times fighting, therefore fighting each other and will not collaborate or cooperate with each other, as a result of which we don't see the right thing to be done.
Plus, state and non-state actors urge to harness the power of dialogue, collaboration, and effective action to overcome the obstacles that stands in the way of peace and security.
In adversity. Instead, we must harness the powers of dialogue, collaboration, and effective action.
Later in the bulletin, members of pre-tertiary unions in the Upper West region mount pressure on government to heed to their demands as they blame their poor working conditions for their inability to find suitors for marriage.
Should the employer fail to address our demands on or before May 13, 2024, then we shall call on leadership to take action immediately.
Many thanks for choosing us. Let's stay for the details. The Ghana Journalists Association is expressing disagreement with the Office of the Special Prosecutor over their assertion that journalists are financially induced to unduly attack the works of the OSP. Speaking at an event, Director of Strategy, Research and Communications at the Office of the Special Prosecutor, Sameda alleged some influential persons are behind sponsored attacks by individuals, including some journalists on the works of the OSP. However, President of the GRA, Albert Jumfo, says that is far from the truth.
The media has been very proactive in recent times, and to correct him, I don't think that it's whatever you put out there is what we put across. So should we say that whenever the media publish news or maybe communicate positive news about the OSP recently was commended, especially in the case of Cecilia Dapa, when they actually stepped in when no one was expecting them, because Cecilia Dapa was shall I say, a minister of state for that matter under the current administration. But for their activeness and how they even stepped into the matter, the media commended them. Should we say that he paid the media to do that? We are saying that yes, under the economic indicator, the media tempted to be influenced, but it doesn't mean that the media is under influence. What we are saying is that we ought to now look at ways of improving the working conditions of journalists, improving the lives of journalists, so that at least such temptations will not even suffice. So what the OSP is saying, the committee is making, trying to compromise or trying to indict the media being compromised, we disagree. What is the case? Is it a lie that Attorney General had said that he didn't clear Cecilia Dapa, and that it was the OSP who did?
But the OSP says it didn't. It did not do that. And there's prima facie evidence it submitted to IOCO. IOCO should have investigated. Not you are presented with a set of facts, or at least the tip of the iceberg, you are supposed to investigate, not now ask whether you should even commence investigation.
So what
that was the point of the OSP.
Of course, I think that, yes, I understand the OSP, but then the Yoko boss has also spoken. We don't want to dive into the politicking, but I think that regardless, we will continue to caution journalists to be very circumspect and to discharge our work professionally. But I would not also agree with him saying that some journalists usually compromise. If you said they are compromised, then you come out and then tease out where the compromise is coming from.
The presidency has declined a right to information application submitted by the Media Foundation for West Africa seeking the full KPMG audit report on the revenue mobilization agreement between the Ghana Revenue Authority and Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited. In a letter addressed to the Media Foundation for West Africa and signed by the Chief Director of the Chief of Staff, H.M. Wood, the presidency expressed regrets over its inability to fulfill the request, highlighting the confidential nature of the KPMG report. The full details of the response from the presidency reads, and I'll be sharing with you, upon careful consideration and in accordance with Section 51A and B of the RTI Act, I regret to inform you that your request has been refused. Section 51A and BI states that information prepared for or submitted to the President or Vice President containing opinions, advice, deliberations, recommendation, minutes, or consultations are not We'll be getting details of that for you. It says it is not exempt from disclosure. It is exempt from disclosure, and that disclosure of such information would compromise the integrity of the deliberative process by revealing the thought process, considerations, and influence on decision-making reserved for the highest officers of the land. The full KPMG audit report comprises opinions, advice, deliberations, and recommendations that are integral to the President's deliberative process and therefore qualifies as exempt information under Section 51A and BI. Understanding the public interest in the GRA-SML contract, the President has published the principal findings and recommendations of the KPMG report in a detailed press statement issued by the Office of the President. Thus, the public remains informed while respecting the statutory restrictions on specific disclosures. Well, I've been joined by Executive Director of the Media Foundation for West Africa, Suleimana Brahima, and on the other side, I've been joined by the Executive Director of the Ghana Integrity Initiative, Mary Ada. First, let me start with you, Suleimana Brahima, because you requested for that information. How do you respond to this response coming from the presidency?
Well, thank you very much, Aisha. I think that the response from the presidency, for me, clearly demonstrates an implication on the part of the presidency not to be transparent with the people of Ghana in relation to this, very stinky deal between GRA and SML. Because, and I say it's stinky because from the president's own communications in terms of the decision on the KPMG report, it makes it clear that this was a contract that for a greater part of the contract never had a PPA approval. It was a contract that was being delivered partially, and GRA may not have even secured the full benefits of the contract, and yet the contractor had received more than $1 billion Ghana cedis over the period of this contract. Now, the president's refusal is based on Section 5 of the RTI Act. And I think that they deliberately decided to couch it as though that's exactly what it is saying. And for the benefit of our audience, I just want to say that Section 5.1, that they relate to Section 5, one says that information is exempt from disclosure where the information A is prepared for submission or has been submitted to the president or vice president for consideration. And that's my emphasis, for consideration. Or when the matter contains, or when the issue contains matters, the disclosure of which will reveal information concerning opinion, advice, deliberations, recommendation, minutes, or consultations made or given to the president or vice president, and is likely to undermine the deliberative process on the part of the president or vice president. We are talking about a report that was submitted to the president. Of course, we are mindful that when the report is submitted to the president, until the president has gone through the whatever deliberative processes that he would want to engage in on the report, it will be exempt. And so we waited. Even as people were asking, when is the president coming up with the SML report and so on and so forth, we never submitted an RTI request until the president himself, demonstrated to Ghanaians that as far as the KPMG report is concerned, he is done with it. He has looked at it, deliberated upon it, looked at the opinions expressed, looked at the recommendations made and everything, and came out to say that he has accepted the recommendations of the KPMG report and said that and indicated to us some of the findings that the KPMG people or KPMG had made, and also indicated his directives. So if you have accepted the reports, communicated whatever you want to communicate to us about in terms of the findings in that report, and giving your directives, the question is, what is there to be deliberated upon again? Is the president telling us, or the presidency saying that the president is now going to meet with SML, or meet with GRA, or meet with both parties to now deliberate on the contract that is supposed to be renegotiated and those that are supposed to be cancelled and so on and so forth? Only last week or so, we read that GRA said it had terminated, aspects of the contracts. And then the bit that said that should be renegotiated was something that they are looking at. And so if all these do not suggest a conclusion on the matter, what deliberations are there for the president to engage in again? The question then is, what is the president hiding from the people? Because if what he communicated to us is basically the essentials of the report, what is the difficulty in communicating that to us? When you've made your decision, when you've given your directives. So that they talk about the information contains opinion, contains advice, contains deliberation, and recommendations and so on and so forth. Yes, we understand. But the president, on the basis of this, has already made a decision. So I don't know what is it that they want to hide from the public. But as I've said elsewhere, well, fortunately, the RTI Act makes provisions for further processes if one is not pleased with the initial decision of the information holder. And we would go according to the law to take up the further processes to ensure that our rights are vindicated. And
when do you intend to do this?
Well, I mean, we are taking immediate steps to go through the next processes that we have to go through, because certainly I think the president or the presidency is abusing the exempt provision, misinterpreting it, and it just basically to satisfy their decision not to make a full disclosure of whatever findings KPMG had made on this audit report.
Right, Suleiman Ibrahim, I'm grateful for your time. He is Executive Director of Media Foundation for West Africa. They wrote to the presidency for that information. Maria, that was Executive Director of the Ghana Integrity Initiative, is also on the line with us. I'm grateful for your time, Maria, that at a time when many accuse government of lacking the political will to actually fight corruption, especially as our corruption status has dipped over the period and the corruption index stalled, what does this posture of government communicate?
Thank you very much, Aisha, and let me say good morning to your viewers. It is very unfortunate that this is the posturing of government when it comes to the request for information. Like Sule has indicated, I do not see anything that has to do with this request. Besides, the president has used sometimes the report and showed some way. Why would one exempt information under the RTI law and the sections they have quoted. It is unfortunate because these are some of the perceptions that fuel the results that we get in most of our surveys. Accountability is very critical. Information is for the people to garner their support and trust for governance. And so if we all decide that we want to go this route, then it's unfortunate that people would not have trust, and we also would not believe that what is entailed is what the president is licensed of people of Ghana. Remember, the Constitution also tells us that we have the right to information. Besides that, the Constitution is very clear when it comes to the mandate of the people. It is the people of Ghana who have the power, and who actually give that mandate to one person to rule. That does not give the impression that everything that happens can be done by one person, even though he has exclusive power. We believe that some of these posturing have in the past and continually affect the perceptions of citizens of the willingness of them and to fight fraud.
Are the anti-corruption agencies, including your outfit, not doing enough to actually ensure that this happens?
That's besides the point. This is a case of the exclusive powers of the president being activated, and he uses that the clause in the RTI law, which the chief director has mentioned, section 518E, and then the I of it. So certainly, the president has power to exempt information, but then it becomes ridiculous when information that should be basic information is also categorized under this. What national security threat does the SML report or the KPMG report for the SML pose the people of Ghana? Are we saying that some issues that were identified in that report are explosive and for that matter Ghanaians should not know? Are we saying that there are information in the report which maybe would have indicted some person, and for that matter we do not want people to know about? This is the impression we are forming. The trust of the anti-corruption activists in this process is very low, I must tell you, and we continually become disappointed in some of these posturing when it comes to giving information for civil society and also the media to execute our mandate of informing the people. We have the right to know, and so this should not be truncated in any way by any means through some of these things. It only goes to suggest that there is something wrong, basically, that the president and his assigned do not want the people of Ghana to know.
The RTI law, before its passage, many people pointed out the fact that there were some provisions that the politicians themselves were putting in there that they feel would allow them to cover up their shady deals. Are those people justified right now?
Oh, certainly for us in civil society and the coalition at the time, the RTI coalition thought some of the clauses in the act, in the bill at the time before it got passed, which were seen as exempt clauses, were ridiculous. However, this is what they insisted on, because I was saying it on another platform yesterday. Sometimes political actors find a way to ensure that they get away with some of these things. However, that is not the end of the issue, because the people of Ghana are informed. They know there is something that is not right. We are empowered. We can think for ourselves, and we know that some of the issues that are attended to may not inure to our benefit. It is not our benefit the government is serving when this happens, but justifiably so, when people say that some of these exempt clauses would make they act useless, excuse me to say, it's justified. And some of these decisions make it so.
I'm grateful for your time. Mary Ada is Executive Director of the Ghana Integrity Initiative. And of course, we're staying with anti-corruption matters, and because a tough war between the Economic and Organized Crime Organization, YOCO, and the Office of the Special Prosecutor continue to deepen over allegations of withholding of information and negligence of duty in the Cecilia Dapa stashed money saga. Here's a news desk report on the situation.
The Office of the Special Prosecutor on January 25, 2024 officially transferred investigation into the financial affairs and assets of former Minister of Sanitation and Water Resources Cecilia Dapa, along with their associates, to the Economic and Organized Crime Office, YOCO. The OSP stated that no direct and immediate evidence of corruption was found in the seized funds and frozen bank accounts linked to Ms. Dapa and her associates after nearly 7 months of extensive investigation by it and a parallel inquiry by the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, of the United States of America. The office asked YOCO to investigate the former minister for money laundering. 3 months on, the Attorney General advised YOCO to discontinue the investigation, describing the OSP referral as baseless. Godfrey Adamem and the Special Prosecutor's Office will take their private disagreement to the public space.
The OSP alluded to collaborative investigations with the FBI, based on which it came by transfers from other jurisdictions into Ghana. So YOCO, in pursuance of that, wrote to the OSP asking for a copy of that report. YOCO did not receive any reply. To date, it has not received any reply. And that was way back on 1st February.
But I also like to put on record that at no point in time has YOCO requested for a copy of the FBI report. Really? We need to be very accurate. Let me also go ahead to say that even if YOCO had requested for a copy of the FBI report, it was not just going to be that simple that...
The Executive Director of YOCO, Mamiya Tiwado Dankwa, joined the public spot and strongly denied accusation leveled against it by the Office of the Special Prosecutor concerning its alleged reluctance to investigate former Sanitation Minister Cecilia Dapa.
You need evidence to prove criminal offense. It's not about people saying it. Saying that somebody is corrupt, there's so much corruption, that one doesn't solve any problem. Whatever that we would have done had already been directed at the CID to do. We cannot continue to be doing fishing. It's like we don't even know what you are looking for. You just go about looking for something that you yourself, you are not even sure. So what I'm going to do is that with the AG's advice, I will send the docket that we received from the OSP to him, that there's nothing for us to do.
But the OSP will not allow the comments to go without a response. The office debunked claims that YOCO is yet to return the docket on the former minister to them. According to the Director of Strategy, Research and Communications at the OSP, Samuel Apiadakum, YOCO had returned the docket long ago. He said the OSP was therefore surprised to hear the Executive Director of YOCO claiming that her office is yet to send the docket to the OSP.
Meanwhile, some anti-corruption agencies are unhappy with the lack of cooperation between the public agencies set up to work in the public's interest. Former Auditor General Daniel Domelevo says the three entities are not doing the public any good with their disagreements.
But the concern that I have is I think there are lacunas or gaps in our laws that may have to be addressed. And again, not only gaps in our laws, there is wastage in our laws. The wastage being the fact that by the law we have established too many anti-graft institutions. And I have said time and again that the harm that corruption does to us is about the same thing that wastage also do to us. So we have so many institutions at times fighting turf war, fighting each other, and will not collaborate or cooperate with each other, as a result of which we don't see the right thing to be done. So I think we should use this opportunity as a test case, like your guest is saying, to test it in the law court and see whether it can fly. But even if it cannot fly, it is time for us to close some of the loopholes in the law and also consolidate or put together these institutions. We have one too many anti-graft institutions, and we are not getting the results. And the amount spent on them, I keep saying, is a lot of money. If I don't remember the total amount, but millions have been spent on OSP establishing only the head office. By the time we roll it out to the regions and the districts, it will be a lot of money. However, we have Yoko. So why don't we just change the law so that we have one institution which has already established all over the country and has the proper mandate to do all these things, so that it will save the taxpayers' money being used on overheads.
Away from correction-related matters, Polish manufacturers of the rigged train on the Tema-Mpakadan Railway are expected to fly into Ghana to conduct assessment and valuation of the damage. 4 persons are standing trial for the bizarre accident which occurred when the newly acquired train, which was on a test drive, ran into a parked truck on the railway. In a court on Wednesday, the state argued that investigations have been delayed because the manufacturers are yet to fly in to provide what is potentially the missing piece of the ongoing investigations.
In a bizarre and curious case of train accident caused by a tracked park on the Tema-Mpakadan Railway, the state is now pinning its hopes on the Polish authorities or Polish manufacturers who are expected to fly into Ghana to conduct an assessment and valuation of the damage caused by the train accident. In court on Wednesday, the lawyer representing the state, Christabel Selma Anafuri, made the argument that that particular aspect of the investigations is very critical to the ongoing case and prayed to the court for an adjournment for the necessary investigations to be done. Lawyers for the accused, on the other hand, Richard Lapo, made the argument that that aspect of investigations, of assessment and valuation by the Polish manufacturers has no bearing on whether or not the court grants bail to his client. The sitting judge, Justice Lydia Mafu, after listening to both arguments, has granted bail up to the tune of 200,000 Ghana cedis with sureties on each of the 4 accused persons. They are also expected to report at the police station every Friday. An order has also been given to the state to furnish the court with all disclosures before or on the date of the recall, which is June 6th, 2024. From the Law Court Complex, Latif Idris reporting for Joy News.
Upper East Regional Minister Dr. Hafiz Bin Saleh has urged state and non-state actors not to be complacent with the face of adversity, but rather harness the power of dialogue, collaboration, and effective action to overcome the obstacles that stands in the way of peace and security. Speaking at the 3rd Dialogue Forum on effective promotion of peace and security in the northern region, he said they play a pivotal role in shaping the future of their respective regions. Joining us, Upper West Regional correspondent Rafiq Salam reports.
The 3rd Dialogue of State and Non-State Actors on Effective Promotion of Peace and Security in Northern Ghana was attended by regional ministers from the Northern Gulf of the country, regional coordinating directors, regional secretaries for the various peace councils, and representatives of regional security councils. Upper East Regional Minister Dr. Hafiz Bin Saleh, in his opening remark, stated that it is imperative to acknowledge the significant strides made since the inception of the Dialogue Fora 3 years ago. Dr. Bin Saleh urged the participants to recognize the pivotal role played in shaping the future of their respective regions. He said state and non-state actors has a critical role in building a peaceful northern Ghana. Dr. Bin Saleh further urged them not to be complacent or indifferent in the face of adversity, but rather harness the power of dialogue, collaboration, and effective action to overcome the obstacles that stand in the way of peace and security.
From the state actors who wield authority and influence to the non-state actors who work tirelessly to promote peace and reconciliation, we all have a part to play in building a more peaceful and prosperous northern Ghana. In the face of mounting challenges, from ethnic tension and communal conflict to economic instability and the looming spectre of extremism, our resolve must remain unwavering. We cannot afford to be complacent or indifferent in adversity. Instead, we must harness the powers of dialogue, collaboration, and effective action to overcome the obstacles that stand in the way of peace and security. As we gather here today, let us not lose sight of the human cause of conflict and violence. Behind every statistic and headlines lies a story of pain, suffering, and loss.
Executive Director of Star Ghana Foundation, Ibrahim Tanko Amidu, whose outfit has been patrolling the 5 regional coordinating councils in the northern Gulf of the country to hold the dialogue fora, noted that the fora gives opportunity to the stakeholders for information sharing, collaboration, and dialogue.
Because there are so many initiatives that are ongoing by civil society organizations, by the World Bank, by bilaterals, by governments. The key challenge has always been the issue of coordination, the issue of collaboration, the issue of information sharing. That you speak to some of the regional ministers and they tell you that we're not even aware this is happening. You get to hear of some initiatives and you say, well, if we had known of this, maybe it would have influenced the way we developed this other. So the synergies are lost, the complementarities are lost, and at the end of the day, we have people question. We spend so many $1 million on peace and security in the north. Why is it still not happening? And we say one of it is because we're not talking sufficiently to each other. Either the civil society organizations just sit somewhere alone, or the state actors sit somewhere alone, but we hardly meet. And so we intended this as a space for information sharing, space for collaboration, and a space for dialogue.
Ibrahim Tanko Amidu, however, was not pleased with the state of education in northern Ghana, which is proposing a Northern Educational Forum to tackle it.
The statistics are worrying. They go beyond worrying. They pose for me an existential threat to northern Ghana. Without educated people, without the human resource, all other efforts at developing the north will come to naught. What do we do? What should be done? How do we coordinate? And we would have a discussion on.
Reporting for J News, Rafiq Salam. Wow.
Let's stay at the Upper West region because members of pre-tertiary unions in that region are worried they're unable to get suitors for marriage because of their poor working conditions. They say they've now become a laughingstock turned away by their prospective in-laws because of the teaching profession. Upper West Regional Chairman of the Coalition of Concerned Teachers Ghana, Al-Hassan Abdullah Salifu, disclosed this at a press conference held in Wa by the 3 teacher unions to call on government to address their concerns.
The 3 teacher unions, namely the Ghana National Association of Teachers, NAT, National Association of Graduate Teachers, NAGRAT, and the Coalition of Concerned Teachers Ghana, CCTGH, in the Upper West region, noted that the press conference is not only important to teachers alone, but represented the collective interest of all stakeholders in education delivery in the country. The teacher union disclosed that since the negotiation of the collective agreement in 2009 and 2020, the unions have known no peace owing to government's continued failure to implement allowances agreed on as well as fulfill promises given. They reiterated the country's quest to achieve its educational objectives, stating that the teacher plays a pivotal role in achieving that vision. Despite trimming down the number of allowances from 17 to 4, government is still adamant and has demonstrated bad faith. Felix Osuansa is the Upper West Regional Secretary of NAT, and he led the charge.
We have reduced them to 4. These are the deprived area allowance, the extra duty / assessment allowance, the book / data / online teaching support allowance, and the upward adjustment of the continuous professional development allowance. Despite this gesture of good faith from the unions, the government is still adamant and has demonstrated bad faith. This has oftentimes culminated in high-level dependency and disaffection for leadership. We have had to hang on the thin line with our members complaining bitterly. These complaints have become worse, especially as our members are reeling under the authorship and hardship imposed on us all by the current economic conditions in the country.
Our Pawasuljan chairman of the CCTGH, Alassane Abdallah Salibu, spoke of the struggles that teachers go through in order to keep body and soul together in the country.
Consumables, daily consumables, even bread, the size of bread have reduced. Kenke, the size of kenke has reduced and the price have shot up. We can no longer contain and manage the economic hardship that we are facing as teachers. It is terrible. And as our president made mention, some male teachers could not marry because our would-be in-laws are found out, which is unfortunate. So we want to regain our status as a respectable profession in this country.
Pursuant to the aforementioned, the teacher unions call on the employer to honor its promises and commitment to teachers by addressing their concerns enumerated.
We wish to stress that we have had enough of the nonchalance, complacency, and aloofness of the employer, and we does not countenance this situation any longer. Consequently, we are giving the employer up to May 13, 2024 to address our concerns. Chobani, hey! Chobani, hey! Chobani, hey! We wish to state in strongest terms that should the employer fail to address our demands on or before May 13, 2024, then we shall call on leadership to take action immediately.
Our Pawasuljan chairman of NAGRA, Haruna Yusuf, averred that they have done more than enough in dialoguing with the employer and could not be blamed if they embark on any industrial strike.
We have been battling with the collective agreement of teachers. And as we said, there were as many as 17 items that we played before the government. The government decided to classify them, and then currently, as we speak, we are battling with 4. So if we really want to go by the regional minister's speech by dialogue, I think the dialogue is enough since 15 years ago.
Reporting for the news, Rafik Salam. Wow.
To the Ashanti region, where the Ashanti Regional Education Directorate has tasked heads of second cycle schools to be innovative and exhibit exceptional leadership to be self-resourced in running their institutions. The management teams of the schools are being trained to effectively run their respective schools, demanding less from the government. The training will ensure the sustainability of public educational institutions. Here is a report by Clinton Yeboah.
Public schools are often poorly resourced. The quality of teaching and learning, control and running of day-to-day activities of schools are characterized by limited supply of resources and inadequately skilled staff. This has informed an intervention from the Ashanti Regional Education Directorate to offer training to institutional heads, administrators, accountants, heads of departments, deans of disciplines and matrons from about 150 senior high schools in the region. The Made in Ashanti Regional Education Leadership Summit is themed, touching the heart, head and hand through transformational leadership with a global approach. Regional Director of Education Dr. William Amankoro Apia says the in-house training is to enhance the quality of education provided to students.
Their headship, their directorship, the way they manage education. We want an improvement upon that. It's a training. How can we be so fruitful? How can we have critical mindsets? How can we see we have our curriculum, we have everything, but how can we still work in having a critical mindset?
The training paired life coach and industry experts for school heads to explore effective leadership styles focused on innovation, emotional intelligence and self-resourcing. Former rector of the Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration, GIMPA, Professor Stephen Ade, is entreating school heads to employ personal investment opportunities to be financially stable.
Saying is this, that at the end of the day, at best you should take your salary as a seed, and you must take responsibility for your own financial future. You use your salary as a catalyst. But no matter what you do, I don't think that the average teacher is going to be paid enough to meet all their needs. They must also aim at making sure that they do save and invest for their own future, either in tier 3 of the pension scheme in Ghana or elsewhere. No matter what they do, of course, everybody wants a salary increase. I want it, you want it. But what I'm saying is that alone will not solve their long-term financial needs, especially in their retirement. And they must save and invest. And I'm encouraging all of them to aim at becoming millionaires.
Former Ashanti Regional Director of the Ghana Education Service, Joseph Onyina, is admonishing school heads to champion a competency-based education agenda in schools.
That is that our current education system is examination focused. The education examination focused. People do all that they can to ensure that they pass and get the good grades. And that reform is that our education now must be competency based. Curriculum must be competency based. We will assess students as to what they are able to do.
Reporting for Joy News, my name is Clinton Yeboah.
He is a monarch whose exemplary leadership has brought esteemed glory and dignity to his kingdom and etched the rich traditions and culture of Asantis into global history books. Asante Otumfuose II, the 16th occupant of the Golden Stool, has become the beacon of peace and a true leader par excellence. Emmanuel Bright Kwaku tells the tale of the gallant man of Asante, Berima Kwekudria, whose legacies will be ingrained in the hearts and minds of not just his people, but Ghana and the world.
Monday, April 26, 1999, when Berima Kwekudria, as he was then known, swore the oath of allegiance to Asante Man and ascended the Golden Stool, Sikeja Kofi. He became the 16th Asanti Monarch and bore the name of the first Asante Hene, Opemso Nana Osei Tutu, after the death of his brother, Nana Opokuwari.
You have to vie for the position with a number of people. In his case, about 6 people came to ask for vie for the position. And then the final authority is the Queen Mother. And the Queen Mother selected him.
His ascension came with the natural gifts of calm and radiance, which instantly inspires loyalty and motivates people around him. Not only has he won the hearts of his people, but the admiration of all, even beyond the shores of Ghana.
He doesn't discriminate. He loves everyone. He works here personally to ask about how we are faring.
The vision of Otumfuose II II encompasses education, health, and economic development.
If we should go back in Ashanti history, it's like Osebosu, who was king of Ashanti. In the situation that we found ourselves with the negotiating, I think his diplomacy transcended everything else. He was very charming in the first meeting we had with the Victoria and Albert Museum and also with the British Museum.
Shortly after his installment, the Otumfuo Osei II Foundation was launched as a relief plan for his people and as an extension, the whole of Ghana.
Through the World Bank assistance grant given to him, the fund was able to put up 6 classroom block, 6 teachers' apartment, Ulu, and then mechanized borehole. All this as a package for 22 different rural communities. Now we can boast of people in responsible positions in Ghana who, if not having the help offered by the king, they wouldn't have gotten to where they are now.
He made me pay bills of at least 35 students.
More than 35 school fees.
The Asante's pivotal role in women empowerment in the kingdom cannot be overlooked.
We knew how the system was working. If you have Queen Mother, even programs like maybe the opening of the Jubilee Hall, normally they wouldn't have invited Queen Mothers. His Royal Majesty has really encouraged Queen Mothers for us to know our deep position as a Queen Mother and our rules of engagement. He's really encouraged Queen Mothers to be leaders in our community and just not the regalia that we put on.
Otumfuo Osei II has brought peace and reconciliation to his kingdom since he's been in power.
Asante Yadonipa.
Asantis love and tolerate everyone.
In February 2020, he became the first person to receive the Pillar of Peace Award. This is in recognition of the efforts that he put in restoring peace to the Dabon Kingdom after nearly 2 decades of chieftaincy crises.
The patience at my sons to resolve, try and find solutions to this, but I don't want anyone to take it for granted.
We will continue to pay homage to the Asante Hene. He has shown love to we the Moses.
Yes, sir, they say, Oman Quantity, Oman Wadinyansa, not until we for more Ghana, any area singing.
Some of the things that he's doing and some of the things that he has done suggest that he is indeed above the standard of human being. So I would say he is a mini god.
To his people, the Asante Otumfuo Osei II remains a true leader, a custodian of culture and a protector of the ancestral left in his care. Reporting for Joy News, my name is Emmanuel Bright Kweku.
Take a break on Joy News Desk. We'll be returning your way with business. Please stay.
Hi, welcome to Business. My name is Darrell Kwao. French bank Société Générale Ghana recorded a profit after tax of over 400 million Ghana cedis in its 2023 annual performance amidst the economic challenges plaguing the nation. Now, according to Managing Director of SG Ghana, Hakim Wizani, the bank will not be paying dividends this year, but rather will focus on increasing the asset and profitability base for its shareholders in the medium term to long term. Here's more from the bank's 44th annual general meeting. The 44th Société Générale Annual General Meeting provided an opportunity to review the financial standings and decisions critical for the growth and profitability of the bank. SG Ghana's 2023 annual report showed that the bank's liquidity improved from 98% to 105%. This, according to the Managing Director, Hakim Wizani, was largely influenced by the 111% and 20% growth in investments and deposits, respectively.
I remind that last year in 2022, we have been among the very few profitable banks in the industry, with the second best profit in the industry. while we were going through a very confusing period with the DDP and all the context, that we are at the initiatives of financing the real economy with the highest loan-to-deposit ratio, the highest loan-to-deposit ratio of the industry, around 80% deposit ratio.
Hakim Muzani further explained that the bank was not declaring cash dividends this year, even after recording strong growth.
Your money is not wasted or lost. Because even if you don't take dividends this year, and I know that last year was also particularly complex, at the same time, you are seeing that your assets, because you are the owner of the assets, are growing. This year, they've grown by 2 billion Ghana cedi. The assets that you are taking have grown by 2 billion Ghana cedi. The loans have grown by almost 900 million. Deposit has grown by 1 billion. And the bank made a profit of net profit of over 400 billion Ghana cedi. All these are assets that belongs to you as a shareholder. So, yes, there is no cash dividend this year, but it's just accumulating for in the other years to take the full benefit of all that.
The Société Générale Group, through its wholly owned investment subsidiary, SG Financial Services Holding, owns 60.22% of the issued capital of the company, thus making SG Ghana PLC a subsidiary of the Société Générale Group. And that's your business update. Back to you, Aisha.
Hello, Daryl, and thanks for bringing us business. And that will be it for the bulletin this morning. Log on to myjournline.com. There's more of the news and updates of all the developing stories. Awesome.